This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, check this out. Coming out of SummerSlam 05, where we just discussed not too long ago, Shawn Michaels losing to Hulk Hogan, Chris is going to be programmed with Shawn Michaels. And he's going to say that Shawn is past his prime. Buddy, this is a big step up for a guy who's never even had a singles match on pay-per-view. And now he's working with Shawn Michaels. Is the idea thinking, hey man, Shawn can help get this kid over and help get him the rub?
Absolutely. Good Lord. If you can't learn something being in the ring with Shawn Michaels, then there's no hope.
Masters and Carlito begin what feels like their company long relationship, or maybe even lifelong at this point. They're going to team up on Raw to take on Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. And they get 20 minutes in the main event in Tampa on August 29th, where Masters makes Flair submit to the full Nelson. Think about that. Carlito and Chris Masters against Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, and Masters gets Flair to submit. Like, that's top guy heel stuff right there, man. You can't throw any more attention than you could right there, right?
Absolutely. And Flair couldn't handle the master lock.
Well, who could? It's announced
exactly. Nobody was able to.
It's announced that Shawn Michaels is indeed going to accept the Master Lock challenge. And of course it ends when Masters keeps avoiding Shawn hitting him with a low block to break the hold and smashing him in the face with a chair, leaving Shawn Michaels bloody on Raw. And it's all to set up a pay-per-view showdown in Unforgiven. At this point, Masters has not lost or been pinned on television. And if you're getting him in there with one of your top baby faces and bloodying him up, man, that's pretty big time stuff. Unfortunately, the pay-per-view did not go his way, but they got plenty of time. 16 minutes and 44 seconds. Meltzer gave it 3 stars. He says one could argue that Michaels didn't need the win and Masters didn't need to have his winning streak broken. And if Masters was getting over, I'd agree with that, because at this point, Michaels didn't ever have to win. But unlike with Ric Flair, there is no point in trivializing Michaels' losses to where everyone gets to beat him. If Masters was being set up for a title opportunity, he should have won, but he's going nowhere and Shawn Michaels will be on top forever. Masters put on the Master Lock before the bell and got an advantage. It was released and the match started. Michaels did a good job with him, but not a world-class job. Michaels did do a dive to the floor. Masters rammed Michaels into the ring post twice and started working on the back. Masters put Michaels in the torture rack. Ross said it was shades of superstar Billy Graham. Did he use that as a finisher? I guess Lex Luger is a banned name, particularly when Masters is on, because everyone makes the comparison, and Luger's career turned out to be such a flop after opportunity after opportunity. Plus McMahon hates him, as do most people in wrestling these days. Masters ended up with a bloody nose. Masters tries the Master Lock again, but Michaels gives him a low blow and then came off the top rope with an elbow. Masters came back and finally got the Master Lock. Michaels tried twice to kick off the ropes to break the hold, but it didn't work until finally jumping over the top rope for a rope break. Masters went to put the move on again, but Michaels slipped away and nailed him with the sweet chin music. And that's all she wrote. So some really, harsh words about Lex Luger, who these days is maybe the nicest human that you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I was going to say that because, for many years, I wasn't a big fan of Lex. And, you go back to our Lex Express show and everything. And even years after that, I wasn't a big fan of Lex. And then at a convention at some point, Lex and I were able to kind of get together and talk. And Lex is a different, he's a different human being. And it happens, and you can't hold on. God, you can't hold on to grudges. You can't hold on to things forever. I'm holding on to a few. Okay.
You got the Master Lock.
My God, I'm held on to a couple of them.
You got the Master Lock on those grudges.
Yeah. But I'm sure, I'm getting up there, and for the most part, man, it's not even worth it. But I'm glad that Lex kind of turned his life around, and he's not the same person that he was that people disliked.
Let me ask you, in hindsight, should Masters have won here? I mean, in reality, it means a lot to him. It wouldn't have mattered all that much to Shawn to lose. Or do you think you guys were ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak?
No, not at all. But I also think that at the same time, it was the right thing for Shawn to win. It also, at some point, you have to teach someone how to lose too.
Yeah.
It goes back to when I think of people sending in tapes and all this shit. They'll always send you, highlights and high spots and things that they do well, and they never lose.
Yeah.
I always would be very impressed when I would get a tape sometimes, and the guys showing me how they do a job and how they lose, because that says just as much about someone as winning.
Yeah, I remember,
folks,
way before you were back in the wrestling business, you and I had that conversation when I was like, "Hey, what do you look for?" And you said, "Not a bunch of highlights, not a bunch of spots. Let me see you make a guy." And that's really the magic of the biz. But I think sometimes that's lost on even some of the folks who were putting on the show.
Yeah.
So even with the loss, this is a big opportunity. I mean, it's a one-on-one pay-per-view match with Shawn Michaels, and it's a long match, especially for him and at this point, 1644. After the match, I mean, what do you remember the reaction being? Was Shawn happy? Was Vince happy? Was Chris happy?
I think it was obviously the best match Chris had ever had. So I think that there's at least hope that, okay, with the right leader in there, that Chris can follow him. Maybe we can get something out of him.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.